I'm the executive chef of the St. Louis showroom. And today we're going to be talking about cooktops, range tops, and ranges. Today, if you have any questions, we're going to use the chat feature. I have Lynn helping me out. Any of our easy questions, she's going to go ahead and answer them right in the chat feature. Or she's going to relay them to me, and I'll have times during the demonstration that I will answer any questions that you have. So first I'm going to start off talking a little bit about the induction. We'll talk a little bit about induction ranges and your induction cooktop. Then we're going to go into gas cooktops, then into ranges. So we're going to try to cover everything in the small amount of time that we have with you guys today. So if you have any questions, like I said, put it in the chat and we'll make sure we get those answered for you. So I have a 30-inch induction cooktop here, and I'm going to talk a little bit about wattage, and then I'm going to cook a little bit on it and tell you a little bit about cleaning. So first thing is, a lot of people are always asking, what do I cook with on my induction? So some of the pans that I cook with here, I have the Wolf pans. A lot of the pans will tell you on the bottom what they're good for, whether it's electric, induction, gas. This pan happens to be great for induction. And what considers good for induction, you ask? That's going to be something that has ferrous metal in it. So something like a cast iron pan that a magnet will stick to real well is going to work great on induction, because underneath the burners there, you have the magnet that is putting the induction into your pan, and your pan actually is what becomes the cooking element. It is putting those magnetic charge into your pan, and it's creating friction in your pan, and that's actually what's heating up. Some of the brands that we use here are Made In. We have the Wolf brand pans. We have some All-Clad. And really any pans that you have that you go and your magnet will stick to will work on your induction burner. So for the burners, I have on my 30-inch here, I have two burners that are going to consist of 2100 watts each. My smallest burner here is going to be 1400 watts, and then my largest is going to be 2600 watts. So first I'm going to unlock the cooktop here. Once it's unlocked, you can turn it on. Your big unit here will have a boost, and the boost is what's going to pull a little bit of energy away from some of the other burners, and that's going to allow you to get up to 3700 watts on your large burner and on your top 2100 watt burner. They both have boost. So that will get your water boiling very fast, and it will also, if you have a large stock pot, it'll allow you to have the energy to keep that from cooling off or not keeping a good simmer. The boost will go for 15 minutes and then shut off. So you can either do it again, or you'll have it up by temperature by then, and it'll keep its temperature then. You also have a bridge setting, which I am going to actually use. So I'm going to bridge these two burners here. And that's going to allow me to take my cast iron pan here, put it on, and it's going to bridge my two burners to work as one. When Wolf made the induction, they wanted you to be able to use your induction the same as you use any gas appliance. This is not a substitute. It's for when you are not using gas, you can use this the exact same. A good thing about induction, and because your pan is the heating element, you aren't going to have a hot surface. It's going to be hot if your pan, once I'm cooking on this and I lift it up, this area will be hot, but it's not because of the burner. It's because the hot pan is sitting on top of it. So it cools quickly, which is nice, and I can keep my hand right here. This is turned on all the way, and it's not going to get hot. When you are cleaning, some of the stuff you want to do for induction cleaning, you have a non-scratch cooktop here, and You don't want to slam anything on it. It is non-scratch and it is a hard surface, but you don't want to slam anything on it just in case you hit it real hard. You could crack it. But any kind of moving a pan like this is not going to scratch your induction cooktop. Some of the cleaning items I use, you want to make sure your cooktop is always cool whenever you are cleaning it. Anytime you're cleaning just about anything in the cooking, you want to make sure it's cooled down and you don't want it hot, unless you're doing something like a griddle on your range top. Then it can be warm when you're cleaning it, which we'll go over here just a bit. Some of the things that I use to clean the cooktop will be a just Scotch-Brite non-abrasive scrubby, a little light detergent like Dawn dish soap, make a little mixture with some water, and you can get that on there and it will clean it up. I'll go back to cleaning in a moment. I just want to show you here on this griddle is already smoking hot. And I'm going to go ahead and put some tuna right on here just to show you the searing capability of it. Some of the other cleaning things that we use, so say you are cooking with sugar and it maybe some pops over and it cools and it gets real hard on there. A lot of times I'll take a little soap and water, put it on there, let it sit for 5 or so minutes, and then I will take a little razor blade on an angle and you can scrape that right off. You never want to go straight down, you want to keep it at a nice angle and scrape it right off. And then some of the other things we use is just some glass cooktop cleaner. Like I said, you want to make sure it's completely cool when you put this on, and you will just, instead of just pouring it all over, you'll put a little bit on a microfiber towel and you can buff the top of your cooktop to make it nice and shiny. If you just have a little bit on there, like when I'm cooking right now, I'm going to end up having a little bit of splash on there of oil. You can always use just a microfiber towel and give it a little wipe. Because this is cool and not hot, just give it a little wipe and help in the cooking process to where you don't have a lot to clean up at the end. So you can see here, we're getting a nice blacken on the tuna, and this is a nice, powerful, even cooking all the way around, because it is using the griddle, the stainless steel griddle that I have here, made by Made In, to completely cook through that whole surface with those 2 burners with the bridge technology. So I'm going to go ahead and take these off, and they're going to be ready to go for when I slice them and make a little bit of seared tuna with a corn avocado relish for lunch for myself and the staff later. When you get into the 36-inch, because we got the 30 here, it's going to be pretty similar, except for you're going to have another 2100 watt burner. So it's a little bit larger. Same with the induction ranges. The wattage is very similar, but your hot burner will be on the bottom left, and your smallest burner will be on the top left. With your cooktops, your smallest burner is right there on the middle of your induction burner. If you have any more questions over your induction range or cooktop, please put it in the chat. We're going to move over to a cooktop, and then we can always go back with more questions if you have any. Your gas cooktop is pretty basic, but it's very powerful as well. You're going to have your smallest burner at 9,200 BTUs on the 30-inch. You're going to have 2 of them right here. And then your largest burner is going to be 18,000 BTUs, and then you have the 12,000 BTU burner. Any of these burners are going to be capable of cooking at high temperature and being able to sear anything that you're going to need to sear. When you go into the dual stack capability, any of our gas cookware or cooking appliances will have your dual stack capability in your burners. What that means is when you go to turn it on, you're going to have your high to low, which is going to be good for your very high for searing. When you get down to the middle to lower, would be nice for simmering. And then you have your simmer feature, which is a completely separate burner in one. So it's a separate fuel line with the gas that goes around the bottom. It lowers it a little bit. And this is going to be where you can go from a simmer all the way down to keeping stuff warm. Let's say you have a pot of chocolate and you just want to replace your double boiler almost. You put it on here, you put it on the low simmer. I have this on right now, and you can see I'm holding my hand right over it. It's warm, but it's not burning me. So that's going to keep it at that optimal temperature where you can put your hollandaise sauce here for your eggs Benedict. You can keep your butter sauce here when you're about to plate up that nice piece of fish that you seared on your hard burner here. Or you can put that chocolate there. It's going to keep it warm without you having to stir it constantly. It won't seize up and it won't burn. Some of the things that I do for cleaning on your cooktop is your grates. These grates are quite heavy. You always want to lift them straight up. You don't want to pull them forward. You don't want to try scratch anything. So you want to lift them straight up. Anytime you go to clean these grates, you want to bring them over close to your sink. You do not want to submerge them because you don't want to get any of these silicone feet that are glued in. You don't want to get any of that water soaking in there. You almost want to treat it like you do your grandmother's cast iron pan that you do not want to submerge. So just the same way I did some of the cleaning over here, a non-abrasive scrubby right on here with light detergent. And then when you are done, you want to dry it off. So just a little bit of light detergent, scrub it down, then you would dry it off and you can return it to your cooktop ready to use again. Another thing we're going to do like that would be your caps here to your burners. Treat it the same way that you do your grates. Just light detergent, scrub it off, dry them off, and you can return it right to your burner. When we go into cleaning the bottom here, you got a boil over or, you cooked, stuff had splashed. I will take a microfiber towel, get in there, wipe it all down first, go in with a little soapy water on a damp towel, on a damp sponge. You don't want to get it a lot of liquid down here because you do not want to get your igniter switches wet. When you get these igniter switches wet, it can cause it to click and try to dry out, and you're going to hear that clicking sound constantly because it needs to dry. So I'll get in here with a damp, soapy sponge, clean all of that, get in with your microfiber towel again, and dry it out, have it nice and clean. Some of the other things you can use on here is a light degreaser. Anytime you're using degreaser, so say you have something on here that's real greasy, you just can't get off. The light degreaser, you also want to spray on a paper towel or a microfiber, and then get in here and wipe it out. You don't want to just go rampant, just spraying your whole cooktop with a degreaser, especially when you only need a little spot. If you have water spots on your stainless steel here, and you want to get those off, a little 50-50 mixture of water and vinegar and wipe with a microfiber or a napkin, and that will get those water spots off your cooktop to make it look new again. Going over to our range top, we'll talk a little bit about the BTUs, burners, and kind of go over some of the stuff that we already went over, along with searing another piece of tuna on our griddle. So over here at the range top or a full range, up top's going to be the same. Whether you have a 60-inch all the way down to a 30 with the burners, your smallest burner at the 9200 BTUs is always going to be your top left. Your largest, again, is always going to be your bottom left. When they have the dual stack capability, just like the cooktop. So your top burner here will have that melt feature where you can put your pan right on there, leave chocolate chips for hours without having to worry about it burn. Your other burners, whether you have a griddle or not, if you don't have a griddle and say this was all burners, our bottom burners would be that 15,000 BTU. Our top would be the 18,000 BTUs. When you get into the difference between 15,000, 20, and 18,000, it's really hard to see with the naked eye. In each one of your burners, especially on your powerful gas cooktop, your range top, your ranges, or even just your gas ranges are going to be powerful enough to sear anything that you're gonna need. You're at commercial rating in your residential oven or residential house. When you go to a double griddle, you're gonna get 30,000 BTUs of power. It's gonna be in 2 sections on a double griddle. You're gonna have temperature control on your right and left side with your knobs below. And that's awesome for if you wanna sear yourself a breakfast sausage on one side, but you just want to do pancakes on the other, you're going to need that temperature differential to where you're not burning those pancakes, because I don't know about you, but no one likes a burnt pancake. But you're going to see here, I have this turned up to 350 degrees. I'm going to take some tuna, put it right on here in 2 spots, and we're going to show you that this is going to get the same kind of sear capability as your induction and vice versa. You're going to get that same sear, the same quality in all of your Wolf appliances. Going into your griddle, if you have a single griddle, it'll be half the size, 15,000 BTUs. When you go and you start with your griddle, what you're going to want to do when you first get it is turn it up to 350 degrees. Well, first you're going to want to take a little bit of soap water, wipe it down before you even start using it, get any of that factory residual off of it, then turn it up to 350 degrees, let it go for about 5 minutes till it gets up to that temperature, and then you go ahead and turn it off and add a little bit of high temperature oil. High temperature oil will be something like grapeseed oil, vegetable oil, avocado oil. Those have a high smoke point, higher than something like avocado or olive oil. What that'll do is you'll bring it up to the temperature, add that oil on there, turn it off. It's gonna open the pores of the metal, and then when it cools off, it's gonna soak in that oil and get that oil into the pores of the metal. You're gonna repeat that 3 times, and that's what's gonna get your initial seasoning on it. You're going to get it a lot darker when you're cooking on it. So one of the cool things about the griddle is it is very easy to clean. Once you get it seasoned, kind of like a cast iron pan, when you come in to clean, when I'm done searing, I'll come in with my spatula here. I'll give it a good scrape everything off into your trough, which is hot, but it is large enough to hold if you had multiple smash burgers or steaks or fajitas on here, all that grease can easily be held in your grease container trough right here without having to worry about it overflowing. Then when you cool down your griddle, this will cool down. You can remove it, get rid of your grease, and clean it out. So when it comes to cleaning, you just want to scrape everything off of it, take a little bit of water, which right here, I will put a little bit of water on the whole thing. It'll bring up some of the impurities in the metal. And then you just take a towel and wipe it off. So here we go. We're going to do I'm going to turn my griddle off now. It takes a little while. I recommend you give it about 5 minutes to cool off a little bit because it is going to create steam. I've done this many of times in commercial kitchens and on my Wolf double griddle and single griddle. So I'm going to go ahead and do it and show you real quick. So you scrape everything off, get a little bit of water on there. like I said, that steam's gonna come up. You don't wanna keep your hand out in front of that. That steam will burn you. Get in with a towel. I usually keep a towel in my drawer close that I use just for my griddle and charbroiler, because it is gonna get it dirty. And you don't wanna get all your towels dirty. You can just keep that for cleaning your griddle or charbroiler. Go ahead and wipe it off. It gets all that excess debris off your griddle. Then you can let it cool for a little bit. Add a little bit of oil to it. Use your dry spot of your towel now. You get that oil on the surface of your griddle and you're good to go. We do sell a high temperature cleaner that if you do cook on your griddle for a long period of time, your patina gets a nice buildup on there and it starts to flake. There's a high temperature cleaner that you can get at Sub-Zero Wolf, and it will take off and bring it back down to its natural, take all the patina off, and you gotta start over with the whole seasoning process. This is not something you wanna do every time, because if you do, it's gonna take a lot longer to clean your griddle, for one. And for two, you're building up that non-slick surface. You want it to get dark. You want it to almost look like a complete dark brown or black on your griddle. Going into cleaning the grates, just like you do clean the grates on the cooktop, you're gonna wanna lift straight up. You never wanna pull it this way. You never wanna scratch the bull nose of your range or your range top, because once you get a nice gouge in there, there's no way to polish it back out. Our high shine stainless steel is what makes the Wolf look so beautiful. And if you start trying to polish it out, you're gonna get rid of that high shine and you're gonna see more of the scrapes. With your grates, the same way you did with the cooktop, you're gonna wanna get in there with a little bit of light detergent, Dawn dish soap, water. You never wanna submerge them. You don't wanna get those feet nice and wet. You don't want any water or detergent soaking into your metal. So you go ahead and give it a nice wipe down. Then you're gonna dry it off and you can return it. Same with the tops here, same way. When you get into the bottom here and you're cleaning this, light detergent, if you wanna get rid of any watermarks you have on there, I have my water vinegar solution that I'll spray a little bit on there, spray on a towel, works a lot. Wipe it off, it'll dissipate and it'll get rid of any of those watermarks. If you have something on there real greasy hard, I have a little simple green degreaser. This is another thing you don't want to go just spraying on. If I need to get these eyes a little bit clean, I'll use a toothbrush and I'll put a little bit of this simple green right into a bowl, and then I'll get in there with a damp toothbrush with it, let it sit for a few minutes, and then wipe it off. After I clean with any chemicals, whether it is Barkeeper's Friend, which is a nice paste you can use to get any hard stuck on things in there, or if you can do a little baking soda water mixture, that's kind of like the Barkeeper's Friend, that also works great. But anytime I clean this, I always finish with a little soap water just to get any of that chemical off of your cooking surfaces. One last thing I'm going to talk about is your stainless steel shiner. Any Wolf or Sub-Zero appliances, any of the stainless steel, you're going to want to apply some stainless steel shiner. And when I do is apply it to my towel, and then you want to work it with the grain of the stainless steel. You don't want to go against it, you want to go with it. So there is a few different kinds of stainless steel polish that I would like to inform you about. There is a water-based polish and there is a oil-based polish. What we use is an oil-based polish, but you can use whatever you desire. One thing you do not want to do is mix them. So if you start with the oil base, keep it with the oil base, because the oil and water, we know that doesn't mix very well. Once you get on that stainless steel and you're shining it up, you're going to get streaks because it's not mixing and you're going to leave like a little haze on your stainless steel. If for some reason that does happen, where you accidentally get a different kind, make a little bowl of soapy water, wipe down your whole surface, dry it with a microfiber towel, and then you can go in, start with your new polish, and that's going to help out a lot and not give you that haze or streaking that you have in your stainless steel polish. The only other thing I can think of with your range top is the char broiler, which I haven't talked about. That gives you 16,000 BTUs, and one easy way to clean it is you can take off the grate of your char broiler. You want to clean it just like you do the grates. You don't want to submerge that in any water. But then when you get down inside, I'll take my vacuum with the soft bristles on it, and I'll just leave my char broiler on for a good 20 to 30 minutes, turn it off, cool it all the way down. That's going to carbonize and turn that into ash, any of that buildup you have. Then I'll get in there with the vacuum with your soft bristle and kind of suck out any of that ash, whether it's your shot vac vacuum or your regular house vacuum. Get any of that ash out of there, and then you can wipe it with a little bit of soapy water on a towel on the sides and get any of that debris off of there. Then you put your grate right back on, and you'll be good to go for the next use. At this point, I'm going to open it up and ask if there's any questions. I know we got one question about what is the difference between the induction and gas. So the difference between induction and gas is simply the magnetized. It's using electric and magnetic to cook through the pan, and your gas is using gas. The induction releases less heat. There isn't a lot of loss of heat in your pan. So here there isn't much loss of energy, but any of that heat that comes out around the pan is loss of energy. That just doesn't happen with induction. But if someone told me I had to cook on induction the rest of my life, or I had to cook on gas the rest of my life, with the Wolf induction or the Wolf gas, you're really getting similar results, and they really put thought into making sure that happened. Because some places can't have gas. Some places aren't set up for gas and need electric. So it's really, they go hand in hand and are great for both. One of the next questions we had is, what is the name of the degreaser here? The degreaser I have here is simply green, but I also have, you can use any kind of, like, usually it'll be green or orange degreaser. But like I said, when you use that degreaser, make sure you put a little bit on a towel or a little bit on a light toothbrush there and go at it. You don't want to be spraying it on anything, and you don't want to be submerging anything in the grease. It's really just when you have that hard time, when your barkeeper friend isn't getting that off there, when your vinegar and water, when your soap isn't getting it off, you can get in there and get a little bit of extra power to get off whatever may have burnt on. It seems to be that is all the questions we have. If you have any more that you'd like to put in on the chat after this is over, we will be able to answer any questions later. But I'd like to thank you for tuning in today, and I'd like to invite you to look up your closest showroom, and you can do one of these ownership experiences like this in person, to where you get to eat some of the food. We'll go more in depth on your products that you have specifically, and make sure you walk away cooking the best you possibly can